There we go. Hi guys! I'm back. Something was covering up my volume button, and so I had to turn the camera off real quick. It was weird. I don't know. But anyway, hi y'all. Katie back with more crocheting with you today. How's your week? I hope it's been going well. Mine has been pretty easy this week, so that's a blessing in and of itself. Got my pre-registration thing done with Awana this week and survived another week without my right-hand gal. So thankful she's coming back next week. And aside from that, it's just kind of been doing what I do, working and crafting and doing all kinds of stuff, taking care of my family. So thankfully it's been low-key this week, which is kind of something I needed. As for today, we are on to assembly for our Pikachu today. So I'm excited about that. We're only in part 5 and we're already there. So yeah, I really don't have much else to report today. Not that you really care, because you're not here for me. You're here for Pikachu. So why don't we go ahead and get started. We are going to start assembly today. So to start off with, we're going to, of course, put our head on our body. Bing! And that's what we're going to start with. And then we'll see how many pieces we get added today. I've already added my little nose, my fluffy nose. So if you're embroidering a nose, you can wait to embroider until you've attached. If you're doing what I did and added a safety nose, you'll want to go ahead and get that done now. I put mine in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, between rows 15 and 16 on your outcropping on the snout part where it comes out to make the nose snout area. So between rows 15 and 16 is where I put mine, right smack in the middle. And I used one of my smaller noses because he's got a cute tiny little nose. As for the pattern itself, as always, this is not mine. I do not take credit for this amazing pattern. This comes from Ash over at oneupcrochet.com. She has amazing Pokemon patterns. We've already done Charmander and Eevee. Now, of course, we're finishing up our Pokemon. Yeah, our Pikachu this week, Lord willing. So, if you want to get the pattern, go grab that from her site. And if you're wanting to view the rest of the walkthrough with this, I know Twitch has already downed a few of them because that's what Twitch does whenever you're small like me. But you can check them out on my YouTube page, same handle, KT Plays 2022, under my Pokemon amigurumi playlist. That's where all of these guys are at. So if you want to check that out, please do. As of right now, though, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am not happy with my stuffing. So I'm still adding some more stuffing into mine. But if you haven't stuffed already, you need to stuff your head and your body as well. And then you're going to need your tapestry needle in order to sew your guy together. And my hair is down today. It doesn't happen a lot because I washed it this morning, and obviously it's a lot easier to dry it when it's not pulled back into a ponytail. But even though it's still not dry, I think I might have to pull it back anyway. I really need a haircut. May's coming. Yes. And I know that sounded weird, but it's the truth of it. I get my hair cut once a year. You can see it gets fairly long within the year. I usually get it cut about up to my chin. But I get it cut once a year. Donate my hair for wigs. Saves on hair cutting as well. Because that's all I do. I'm not a big fussy person when it comes to my hair. but it is definitely in need of a nice trim. It is looking a little scraggly. I might have to trim it up on my own before then, because I don't know how much more I can take of it. Whew, okay, that's so much better. It's also getting hot, or will be getting hot. It's supposed to be in 70s today, and that makes me incredibly happy. I am over the cold. All right, so as you stuff, make sure that your snout has rounded out from those increases and decreases. It kind of gives it a little puckering along those lines. So make sure that you're rounding out your face with your stuffing before you get to assembly. All right, I think I am finally happy with that. And now I'm going to finish my body stuffing as well. Didn't quite have enough in there. And I apologize for my slight lateness as well this morning. Once again, I don't know what it is. It's only happened once before, but it happened again today. As soon as I went to plug in my ring light over here, it crashed my whole computer. Which, of course, was right before I was starting. So what else is new with that, right? All right. Grab my needle out of my bag. I took all my stuff home last night to work on something, and then I never worked on it. So I got another task assigned to me for a different job. Always with the jobs. All right. I am almost done. Sorry I wasn't fully prepared for y'all. I came in with the intention of having everything stuffed and ready to go before I started, and then I got these signs behind me that needed some attention this morning. I am working our church cafe for an event we have tomorrow, and of course it requires some pre-planning. We're hosting a concert for about 1,500 people. It'll be a lot. We're trying to get our area primed and ready, and that includes sign making. All right, we are rightly stuffed now. There we go. Okay, I am shoving my tail from my body down into the center, just so it's nice and snugly in there. And we are going to be using our long tail from our head. At least I am. You might swap that, which is perfectly fine. It does the same thing. But I'm using my head long tail to do my sewing onto my body. But you can certainly use the body to sew onto the head. Either way, whichever piece you're not sewing with, make sure you tuck that in. So, didn't mean to be punny there, but I guess it kind of came across that way, if you thought it was funny. We have 30. You've got 30 stitches that around here. You should have 30 stitches around here. These are just going to get joined together, bing, as we go. So I am going to start mine with going through my first stitch of my head, just to get that started. All right. As for your body, you're going to want this long part. See how you started it? You're going to want it to go this way. So here's the nose, long part. Okay, you don't want it to be nose sideways. Okay, you want this to be long. Elongate the body. That's what you're looking for. Okay. Otherwise, he's gonna be wide and he's gonna be wide, I guess, instead of long. It'll throw you off just a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead, just pick a matching stitch here, and we're just gonna start going around. As always, if you like pinning your things, this would be a great opportunity for you to go ahead and pin your stuff together. I'm not that person. It's one of those extra steps that I don't care for. Yes, obviously it makes it easier, but I don't work in easy. I never have. I've always been the one that I'll take a more difficult route if it's less steps. You know what I mean? So for me, even though pinning would be easier, it's an extra step that I don't want to do. But obviously, if you like it that way, please do. So I am just going in one stitch of my head and pulling through, and then going through the corresponding stitch of the body and pulling through. If you have a different method that you prefer for joining your stuff together, obviously have at it. I've tried multiple different ways over the years, and I think this has become my favorite. I just like the finished look of it. It's really clean, in my opinion. Some people will work through, just the front stitches. Some people will work through both stitches at the same time. They'll like to stick it through. And I've tried all of this. Just not a fan. For the most part, this is what I go with. Ooh, I got some stuff in. So just working around all 30 of those stitches. So, I know I previously mentioned that I was looking to see what we were going to do next. And I think I'm actually going to take a week off. And I'm sorry if you're sad. I doubt you are. But I think I might actually take next week off, because I've got a lot of things to finalize for some upcoming events, and Easter's coming, so I need to prep for that, and a lot of that has to happen during the daytime. So, with that, I'm going to take a break next week, collect my things that I need for our next project, which I think is going to be, I found a Sonic one. Pattern, that is. When I say one, I mean pattern. I found a Sonic pattern that I think I will be able to do with y'all. So I think that's where we're going to go next. Unless I can find myself some Buzz Lightyear. So I'm still searching for a good Buzz Lightyear pattern. I found a couple of them. I won't lie, looks a little creepy. I'm always about the details. I love it when the details are just so well executed. And I found one where it was very well executed in the face. But I'm trying to get, and again, I love the details, right? There's a lot of details on this because they have every single little button on there as a separate item, which of course they work in felt because a lot of amigurumi makers do. And you know, I'm not huge on felt, but nonetheless, stuff's falling over behind me. So I'm not huge on using felt. So I'm working it through in my head of the fact that it's going to be a lot of tiny yarn pieces in order to accomplish the Buzz Lightyear pattern that I found. So I don't know. I'm still in the guessing game of that, which is why I think I need to take a week off just to see what I can really accomplish and do well with you guys. I don't want you to be disappointed with the outcome either. But again, if you guys want to see a Mew instead, just thought you might want to get away from the Pokemon a little bit, do something different. You can always go back to Mew, but if you'd rather see Mew, just comment, let me know. And if that's the case, I can do that instead. I'm good with whatever. I just like making this stuff. It's fun for me. I have a very creative need in my life where I just have to be being creative of some sort. I'm not really concerned with how, as long as I'm being creative. I recently started a build in The Sims 4. I love The Sims. It's one of my favorite and only video games, really, that I play. I'm not a gamer, really, but I've loved The Sims since it came out when I was a kid. And of course, as I've gotten older, my tastes have changed, and while I was never a big builder in The Sims, I recently have become, I don't want to say obsessed, but I'm really into house plans. I find all kinds of house plans on Pinterest that interest me, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build that on The Sims. So that's what I've been doing. Was that my last stitch? I feel like I have one more. Yeah, I do. Okay. I'm not crazy this time. Alright. Final stitches for Pikachu here. I'm going to run it through to the back to knot it off. Kind of looks like a little peep. Just a tiny bit. I know it's not like super a lot, but just a tiny bit. And we're in that season, so it's on the brain. Alright, so I'm going to knot him off in the back so he's nice and secure, and then run a few stitches through him before cutting off the tail. My sneaky son, who this is for, where it was supposed to be a surprise. This little one just can't stay out of being nosy in my office, so he found all the pieces, and he's like, I know that's Pikachu. He doesn't know that it's for him, but he's figured out that I'm making a Pikachu now. He's a nosy little 6-year-old. Alright. So there's our head and our body together. Yay. Nice and squishy squish. Alright. So next up, we're going to go ahead and grab a hip. Boop. Now, as per usual, just because of time, I'm only going to do one of each of these. Nobody wants to watch it twice. I mean, it's just boring, right? So I'm going to show you where to position them and the look of it, and then you can always just repeat what it is. So let me get some stuffing into my hip so he's ready to go on. This is like super soft stuffing that I got from Hobby Lobby. I usually get a bit more coarser stuffing. So because it's super soft, it doesn't like to kind of meld into each other as much as the coarser stuff does. All right, so we are stuffed. So your decreases, okay, so all of your decreases, the kit that happened on your hip kind of brought it in over itself. That part is going to face forward on your body, okay? So, I don't know why I switched hands. So, front of the body, right? Okay, nose, that's the front. These are my decreases. They're at the front when I put it up against him, okay? So you don't want that towards the back, because otherwise it's going to look funny. Okay? But those, you should be able to see those decreases when you're looking at him from the front. You're going to adhere this directly to his side. I like to sit him on my desk just to make sure that once I made the mistake of not doing this with Charmander, now he has a little wobble. But with Eevee, she's perfect. So if you set it on the desk, boop, or whatever surface you're working on, just to make sure that your alignment is good, so that when they sit down, they're sitting perfectly still, perfectly flat, and then that's where you're gonna attach there. Because eyeballing it doesn't always work, but if it does for you, great. You're way better than I am, that's for sure. Because, like I said, my Charmander wobbles because I eyeballed it the first time. All right. So that's where that's going to go, and that's the direction you need to face that. So we're going to thread our needle. I'm going to get my initial stitch in to get myself started. Doop. Shove all that stuffing in, and I'm going to sorry, went all Mario on you there. Alright, and then you're just going to stitch that around the side of the body. One stitch at a time. Back to your pinning option. If you want to pin, go ahead and take the opportunity to do that. I am just going to hold it and squeeze it. Try a little tenderness. I can't sing it or play the song, but I can say the lyrics. I don't get in trouble for that. Alright, so we're just working our way around. I don't want to talk you to death, but I feel like the silence might be worse. And I don't have anybody to chat with today, so it's just me and my brain, and that can be a dangerous thing. Working around my fluff. If you're like me and you're just holding it, you will reach a point to where you won't have to hold it anymore. At least hold it against it. Just in and out, all the way around. I've been watching some YouTube videos on, I know this is going to sound a little, I don't even know the word I want to use for it. Selfish? But anyway, I've been watching some YouTube videos on how to grow social media channels because it's not my forte. Like, I do this just kind of for fun, but at the same time, it's, I wanted to be able to chat with folks about crocheting and things like that because, I mean, who doesn't want to have conversations about things that you enjoy with other people? Which is why I came onto Twitch to begin with. However, and the YouTube videos I've watched have basically confirmed my thoughts on this. It's not really fun when you're by yourself that much. And not that I have ever had the thought that I'm going to wind up with, like thousands and thousands of viewers or anything. Or subscriptions, but I was hoping that at some point, I'd have at least a few that would like to come on and chat with me and we could discuss different projects and things like that. And I know it's only been a little over, I think, 2 months since I've started this endeavor, and it's hard to get started on Twitch. I get that, but it's also getting a little lonely. So I'm contemplating stopping Twitch for a while and just making it a YouTube video so that I'm not really having to format it like a conversation, I guess, so to speak, because I know nobody's watching at the same time. People could just answer some questions I pose or anything like that. But as for the live streaming and hoping to have folks to chat with, I don't know, I might put a hiatus on that. Because I do put these videos onto YouTube, and so I can only imagine that anybody watching on the YouTube page is going, why won't this chick be quiet? And just do what she's doing. Or, play some music or anything like that. So, it's a thought I'm having. If you're on YouTube and watching this, let me know what you think I should do. Give me your opinions, because I need some. I'm working on closing up this hip. We are almost done. Yeah, leave a comment. Let me know your opinion. I'll gladly change the format of these videos if that better interests anybody. So yeah, that about covers it. If you do happen to join while I'm doing this on Twitch, I'd love to hear from you. I'll answer just about any question, as long as it's not, inappropriate. Alright, I've got just a couple more stitches here. If you're following along, I hope you are about done as well, or you might even be waiting for me. I am not the fastest sewer in the world. I'm not even very good at sewing personally. Making amigurumi has definitely improved my sewing skills, but they still leave a lot to be desired. Not gonna lie. Alright, final stitch in our hip is on. I'm going to send it to the back to knot, because the back is always best. Just like the pediatricians say, back is best. It's also best for knotting amigurumis. Okay, so I'm going to put in my knot back here. It's harder to see. And then send some securing stitches through. Ching. Make sure this tail doesn't come out at any point while my son is playing with his new Pikachu. And then we will move on to our foot. I'm going to add a little foot to our guy here. Oh, I pulled that a little bit too tightly. So if you're doing securing stitches like that, make sure you don't pull tight, or else it's going to form a little divot. Alright, now I'm going to cut him off. Ching. Alright, and then there's our hip. There we go. So next up is our foot. So you're going to get one of your foot pieces. That's the long flat piece. This one's going to be super easy to put on. My eyes had like crazy eyes there. Alright, so if you're like me and you want it to sit up really nice and well, I want my foot to be touching the ground, right? Because that's how feet work when you're sitting. Unless you're short, in which case I'm sorry. But let me pull my camera down one more time so you can see this. So once again, I'm going to place it on my desk. Okay. Then I'm going to put my foot right up against the hip. So, whoop, see that? I'm going to put it up against the hip. So that means it's going to wrap around underneath just a little bit. Okay? So if you see the bottom of where mine is, it's going to go just on the underside. It'll kind of look like a snail from the side. See that? Got your little snail look happening. And all you're going to do is you're going to sew that into place. If you want it to be like the picture, of course, angle it out a little bit. You can put yours straight up if you want. However you want the look of your foot to be, have at it. But we're just going to sew that right onto the front of that hip. And I'm just going to snip this because the ends went nutty. And even wetting it wasn't helping. And they're still nutty. What is happening? It's a good thing I don't need a lot. I left a really long tail for not a lot of space, so. There we go. And I have a fiber. Alright, so you're just going to go sew through the bottom row onto your hip, like I just showed you where to position it. And then if you want his foot to stay upright and not kind of stick out, you can always do a little securing stitch. Not the whole way through. Don't go all the way through, but just through the back portion. Boop. just through the back portion, because then that way it'll bring your foot up, but it won't cinch it in. Still give you that nice clean look still. Okay, so we are going to go through there. Now, since this is flat, I am just going to kind of work over and through. So I'm going to go through both my foot stitches and my hip stitches, just so it works over the top. Again, this is where your sewing preferences come into play. Whatever you feel comfortable with doing, whatever look you want to achieve. For me, this gives it more of a joined, singular piece kind of a look when you sew it this way, as compared to like at the neck. You know, you want to see that you have a head and a body, right? So that's why I did my lines a little differently on there. But again, it just once again comes down to your preference on appearance and how you feel comfortable stitching as well. If you're not a fan of this kind of a stitch, obviously you won't want to do it that way. But just so long as you are joining your foot to your hip, you'll be all good. Whatever way you prefer. Alright, now I have my foot secured to the bottom here, and I'm going to do that back stitch just to hold it upright where I want it to be. So I'm going to bring mine up here in the center of the foot, but going through the hip joint there. Pull that tight. And then I am going to grab put through the back portion of my foot. Just one singular stitch is all I've got, and that just pulls your foot up is all it does. But see how now you still have the shape of your foot without it pulling in. Okay, and then just put another stitch through back through your hip again and pull that tight. Preferably don't wrap your yarn around your entire foot like I just did. There we go. Alright, and now you've got your foot being held up instead of flopping down like that, but you still have your nice seamless look about it. Okay, so I'm once again going to run a stitch to the back before I knot it. Not pulling too tightly. And then I'm going to knot it off in the back and run some securing stitches and cut off. Nice and easy. And then all of that, attaching the hip and attaching the foot, all of that you will want to do again on the other side. Alright, it's knotted. Now couple thread throughs and we're done. And then we're going to move on to the arm. We're going to do his whole left side, my right, his left. Just gonna work up his left side today. Cut that off, and you now have the foot secured on there. Mine obviously is more upright, because that's how I like it. Okay, and see now as he sits, even with only one hip, he sits flat. There you go. Yay! That's what we like to see. All right, now as for the arm, this is going to be your stuffed one. Your little short, stubby stuffy. This is going to work essentially the same way that we just did with the foot, because you're going to work through that bottom section. This one you sewed shut, so it should be pretty easy to work through. All right. So your arm, I have an already made Pokeball from our Eevee. So if you're using a Pokeball, and you've made your Pokeball, again, check out my Charmander one to see how to make the Pokeball. Just kind of place him right beneath the chin, and then put your arm up to where it looks like he's holding the Pokeball. And that's where you're going to want to position your arms if you're doing that. If you're not doing a Pokeball, or you just don't really care about it, boop, drop it. And then you can kind of place it wherever you want. If you want it set further back, one, you can only go so far because of where your hip hits and the space between your hip and the neck and the head. But if you're wanting him to have his arms down or something like that, or raised up and out, however you're wanting to position them, you can do that. But if you do want him to hold a Pokeball, you'll want to make your Pokeball first and just kind of position it based off of that. All right? So for me, I'm going to have an option for a Pokeball because my boys love the actual Pokeball itself as well. So that's how I'm going to position mine. So Pokeball under the nose. I'm going to put his arm right about there. Okay. So through my first stitch. Well, it would be helpful if my first stitch, hold up, wasn't my slip stitch. There we go. All right, I got it back now. So for me, he's going to go right there. And there's a pretty good defined line of where I'm putting mine. But again, if you're wanting yours in a different position, this is where amigurumi is really fun because you get to personalize it, If you don't necessarily like the way a pattern is positioned because you just don't, you can make changes and adjustments like that. So I'm just going to tighten mine off and then sew my line. There should be about 6 stitches, I believe, 6, maybe 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7. So 7 stitches, and you should be pretty secure there. Now your arm will move around a little bit if you're doing it for the Pokeball version. If you are doing it differently, you can, same way we did with the foot, you can secure it with just that little stitch through the back of the arm and into the body if you're wanting it to not move around so much. On my second to last stitch here. My perfectionism becomes a slight problem sometimes. All right. The last stitch for my guy. And now, so naturally his arm flails out a little bit just because of the stitching. I want him to stay in just a touch. So I'm going to actually put my securing stitch right near the base. So like here's where it attaches right there. I'm going to go like wrong direction, one stitch in, just for it to pull in to about there. Okay, so that's where I'm going to put mine. Again, you do not have to put a securing stitch in at all. If you want his arm to be completely movable from the base, leave it as it is. This is strictly optional, not part of the pattern or anything like that. This is purely me. So see how just that one stitch, then once I put it into the body, it pulls that arm in to that position as compared to that. It's like he's waving. I have a puppet! But that's just the look that I want for him. It still gives mobility for your toy, but without it being so, I guess, glaringly obvious that there's so much movement there. Okay, so I'm just going to pull him in, and that will do him. So now, pin that to the back again. Ching. Okay, so now that I'm getting ready to secure him, that's about where his arm's going to be there. Make sure you hold that tension on there if you're doing one of these. Then it will move. Alright, so he's knotted off. I'm going to send my securing through and hide the knot, because that'll pull your knot into the body. And we'll cut off. A few more pieces and we're all done. Alright, so ear is next. Okay, so you should have 2 of these. So once again, just like the other ones, you are going to attach this one and then attach your second one. But again, for the sake of time, I am only going to do 1. And I think I told you all I was going to do the eyes with you as well, which I still will. Those are ridiculously simple because his eyes are round, so they don't require as much finagling, so to speak. So verbally, all that's going to be is you're going to do a magic ring, put 6 in it, 6 single crochet in your magic ring, then you're going to increase around to 12 stitches, so 6 increases, and I think that's going to be about it. You just have to do the 1 increase because his eyes aren't super big. And then for the pupils, you'll do it, I mean his eyes are a little back, I guess that would be more of the eye shine. For the eye shine, you would do magic circle with 4 single crochet and cut off. That's really all it's going to be, and then you'll just secure them on there. Alright, so ear, that looks good, right? We just like put put it like right there, right there, right there, right there in the middle. No, just kidding. So your ear, it's going to be, if you kind of, you obviously want him pointing out, okay? You want him towards the back of the head. So here's your center dot. You want it towards the back of the head at the angle that you prefer. Again, Pikachu moves his ears all over the place all the time. The ear bends down, or it's, if he's sad or something. Whatever you're going for, whatever look you're wanting, do it. These are just general placements. This is how it's just going to look for him there. So, for the one that you see on the screen. So, behind the circle and to the outside of your body. It's going to be, so mine is positioned essentially directly over the back of the hip. So the center of my ear aligns with this back part of the hip. So that's where mine is. But again, if you want that a little different, once again, you can. Give your Pikachu whatever look you're wanting to achieve. You want a happy Pikachu, or a sad Pikachu, or mad Pikachu? Pikachu goes through a range of emotions, seemingly in every episode I've ever seen of him with my kids. So, whatever you're going for. I'm going to go right there is where I am happy. So you're just going to work that around. I realize that he's a little off screen. You can't really see him. And I'm sure you'd rather see him than my face. Or the top of my head. I don't know why. I'm struggling with the ear a little bit. I think it's because there's the stuffing. It seems like a lot of stuffing, like I need to pull some out, but once you squish it all in there for the firmness, it's not that much. And so it's making it difficult for me to hang on to it. And so, this is where I kind of wish I was a pin person, but alas, I am not. And even if I wanted to be a pin person today, I don't have any pins. So it wouldn't even matter. And in the end, it doesn't even matter. I got a song for almost everything, y'all. Even if it's just a line. How God created my brain to work. Alright, so we're just working around the ear here. Almost got him to a place where I can stop fussing with his position. And the stuffing on top of that. After the ear, all that's left to put into place is the tail and his cheek. Then I'll just do a quick workup of his eye, just so you can see it. And that's it for our dear Pikachu. And he'll be ready to go to a kid near you. Or you. If you're just a Pikachu fan and want one for yourself. Or to go in a craft show. If you're making stuff for a craft show. The possibilities are endless. Alright, we are coming into the final stretch here of the ear. That rhymed, which isn't hard to do with that sound, I guess. Alright, finishing stitches for the ear. We are just about at the hour mark too. Which is precisely why I only do one side with y'all, so as not to keep you for too long. Definitely gonna go over the hour today. Not by much, I promise. It's not by much. Last 2 stitches and we are all done with our ear. Again, you'll want to do this with your other ear on the other side. Alright, and now we are going to, I'm going to send this one down into where we connected the head into the neck, because it'll be easier to hide the knot there than, say, the middle of the back of his head. I am parched today, y'all. I don't know what that's about. Okay, so we're just going to knot this off so it doesn't incidentally go anywhere during play. So nobody wants that. And then send some securing stitches for that tail. Big long tail. Through the stuffing. Oop, pulled my needle off. There we go. All right. He's got an ear. Look at that. He's so cute, isn't he? I keep feeling like, there you go. I have to like turn him one way or the other. It's never straight on there. All right, cheek. We're gonna do the tail last. The cheek's gonna be super easy because it is such a small piece. All of these are fraying at the end. I keep snipping off the ends. The cheek is gonna go, guess where? On his cheeks. Who would have thought? Okay, so cheeks gonna go all the way over here to the side. It's gonna go basically right above your hip, essentially is where it's gonna go. You see that? And then you want it to be in line with your nose. So nose, middle of the cheek. Okay, that's your positioning. Okay, so it flares out a little bit, like right there. You'll see as your head comes around, that's where you're going to want it to go, is on that little flare. If you don't want it so far back, feel free to pull it forward again. Make it how you want it to look. If you don't want those cheeks so far out there, don't make them so far out there. So we are going to, first of all, first stitch for me. Beep. So you're just going to sew those around. I want mine a little farther forward, personally. Alright, and then we're just going to sew them on. It's just 12 stitches, so super easy. Send that around. And of course, you will want to do this on both sides of our dear Pikachu. Just working around. Make sure you're getting in all of those stitches. It's nice and flat around. Don't want to lump anywhere. Okay, we're halfway through. My Pikachu is doing some headstands here. Look, Mom, no hands. Just the last few. And I'm sorry, I think I said 12, right? I think this had 18. Either 18 or 24. So I apologize for that misspeak. I honestly don't remember how many stitches, but I know it was more than 12. 6, 12, 18 maybe? Definitely at least 18. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to mislead you. Right, almost through. I think I've got two left here. And the last one for me. Connect it all together. There we go. All right, we have a cheeky Pikachu. Run some securing stitches through there. I don't really tend to knot these ones off because they're usually so pretty darn tight. You don't really need to. But I usually do one more than usual also. I usually run 3 for these. But that's me. Alright, cheek is on and detached from its tail. There you go. There's his cheek. And last but not least is the official tail. I never blocked mine, and I still need to do that. As I picked it up, I realized I didn't block mine. So I'm not going to sew this one on. I'm just going to show you where this one goes. Okay? Whew. So this longer bit is your bottom. It's Friday. So this longer bit is going to be your bottom. This is going to be sideways if you put it this way. This is going to be your longer bit. But you're going to center that long bit on the back of the body, okay? If you put it so that it starts here, it's going to like shoot off way out there, and you don't want that. Okay? So you want this, if you want it to be against the desk, put it down on your desk, center it there. If you want it to be further up the back a little bit, obviously, put it up further. The official, I take that back, don't put it up further. I forgot that there are back stripes. So, if I could get this page to move, there we go. Yeah, all right. So yes, your tail's gonna go all the way at the bottom. Ding, right down there, all right? So you're gonna sew that on. Again, if you haven't blocked it and yours has a funny kind of twist to it, like see how mine kind of twists like that? I recommend blocking it before sewing it on. Okay, but you're gonna sew it just to the bottom. It is more than likely going to fall once you have both hips on, right between both hips on the back, with 2 stitches between the hip and the tail. That's more than likely where it will fall, and it will be the same on this side once you have your other hip on, because obviously I don't have mine. So you're going to sew that onto there. Your tail will free hang, okay? You'll want your tail to free hang. Don't do any securing stitches to keep it upright or anything like that. So there's that. Your back stripes, I can't believe I almost forgot about the back stripes. That's crazy. All right, so you've got one long one and one short one. It's a 1 stitch difference, but you can tell a difference, okay? Those are just going to get sewn, guess what? On the back. So your long one's gonna go lower, and your short one's gonna go higher, okay? So you wanna put your short one about 2 rows down from your neck, and then your back stripe you're going to want to go about 3 rows down. So 1, 2, 3. I take that back. Let's just do 2 rows. So 2 rows down. So just, you should have that 1 space in between. It's about where your back stripes are going to be. Obviously you'll want to center those once you have both of your hips on. I'm not going to do mine. I did that before and really messing my guy up. He looked a little awkward. Yeah, so once you have your other side on, that's when you'll want to put these 3 pieces on in the back. Your back stripes, your tail, whoop, your tail, centered between your hips going up the back. All right, so that's all the pieces. Last but not least, before we go, I'm just going to show you the very, very quick workup of, I need my hook. I'll show you the quick workup of the eye. So as I verbalized before, you are just going to, again, this is if you want a yarn eye. If you're wanting to just use the felt, obviously please cut out the felt and secure that. If you want a yarn eye, this is how you make a yarn eye for him. Magic ring. We're going to put 6 single crochet into that. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pull that. We're going to increase on each of those stitches Black is so hard to see stitches on. There it is. So we're going to increase 6 times. So that's 1, 2, that's 1 increase. 2 increases. So an increase is just 2 stitches into the same stitch. So I'm just putting 2 single crochets into the single crochet stitch. Do that around, and that's 12. All right, and then just to make sure I've got the size right, yep, and that's all you're gonna need. You're just going to want to slip stitch that to your next stitch, fasten off, leave a tail for sewing, and that's it for the eye. That's all it is. You're gonna put that, obviously, your eyes where you want your eyes to be. So mine's gonna go right about there. So that's going to be where my eye goes, and then to do the eye shine, it's going to be the same thing, just smaller. Magic ring, boop, magic ring, 4 single crochet into that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, close that off, slip stitch into your first single crochet, which is always my problem child. So slip stitch into that. Make sure that's pulled nice and tight in the center, and then you will leave a tail, fasten off, leave a tail for sewing. Whoop. Cha-ching. I'm gonna clip that guy. All right, and it's just your small eye shine on there, and then you will sew that right onto that. And I know that looks a little janky with me holding it, but that's what it is nonetheless. Okay, just this small eye shine. If you want it smaller, you can do it smaller. You know, just do 3 stitches or 2 stitches. Or if you really, really want it tiny, you can just do a single thread of white and just kind of do a knot and send it through the space. If you just want a teeny tiny one, you can do that as well. But that's how you make his circular eyes. And there you go, there's our Pikachu. I will finish mine up off camera, and then when I come back, not next week, so not the 20th, it's the first day of spring, yay, but the 27th, I will be back on the 27th with a new project for y'all, whether it be Sonic or Mew or, who's my other one? Buzz Lightyear. I'll let you know what that's going to be. But yeah, and then I'll show you my finished Pikachu and all 3 of our little guys over here all lined up, and then we'll start something new, maybe Mew, don't know. All right, so that's it for me today. A little bit over time for my 1 hour mark, but that's okay. 15 minutes isn't too bad. Or 16. We just flopped over to 16. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and a great next week, since I won't see you then. And I will see you again on the 27th of March. Have a great one. See y'all later. Bye.